Next, you could show her some company magazines or recognition documents and talk about how to get your name in there. Even better if she sees your name in there. And it is really important that as a leader, you do have your name in the recognition document as often as possible so that everybody knows that they've joined a team where the leader really is leading from the front. So she needs to know how she can get her name in there as well, and that real people that she actually knows have their name in there. And then once that's done, it's time to set her up to achieve it and for her to make a plan. Now, if you have done the 5 More Things course or the bookings course, then you will have seen this and you'll know how to use it. Very briefly, take your consultant through a weekly planner and ask her to fill in the times that she's not available for her business first. So this could be when she's working at a part-time job or she's got a standing appointment that she has to attend every single week. Then ask her to work out how many party slots she actually has. It's possible that you've already done this with her when you interviewed her, in which case you don't have to do it again. But once you know how many party slots she has, reiterate how much she's going to make from an average party and what she could make if she actually does the number of parties that she's put into her weekly planner, so that she remains excited and keeps that front of mind. Now she needs to write down her contacts and work out who she's going to ask to be her very first hostesses. Now, most people can write a few names down and then they go blank. So as she's doing this, keep helping with suggestions, and there's a whole lot of suggestions at the bottom of this page that you can take and adapt for yourself. At this stage, you could also get her to think about which of the people on this list are likely to be interested in hosting a party and which ones might be interested in looking at the products but probably won't want to host. I would get her to call the people who she doesn't think would be interested first so she can practice on them. And then when she gets to the people she actually thinks will book, she'll know exactly how she wants to say what she wants to say. You need some scripts and help for her to be able to contact these people and get her bookings. People are very appreciative of being given guidelines for actually what to say. There are some examples of scripts that I used available in the additional resources section of the course, and you'll probably have your own. Just reiterate with your new consultant though that reading off a script is a bad idea. It's just to give an idea of what to say, not exactly what to say. They need to make it into their own language in the way that they normally talk. And make sure that when they're asking people if they'd like to have a party, that in the script it also talks about the launch, if they're doing one, or a mystery host party that they're organising at home. So if anybody doesn't want to book, they can invite her to their own party or their own launch. I then gave her some hostess packs for her very first hostesses that she was about to go and find, and some notes on coaching, just really basic and simple notes. You'll need to have made these up or purchased them in advance from the company to give them to her, and then you can take them out of her kit when it comes to replace the ones that you've given her. You may also choose to leave the hostess packs and the hostess coaching for another session with her. You might want to just let her go and get the bookings first and then have her think about what she needs to say to prepare her hosts once she's got her bookings. So that's up to you and depends actually a little bit on the person. If they're starting to look a bit overwhelmed, then you need to cut back on what you're saying. Now she's already made a time to come and see you do a party. She did that earlier on in this folder. While she's at the party, she should take note of things that she notices so that you can discuss them later. You've got a copy of this in the notes. You can change it to whatever you want, whatever you think you want people to notice as they're doing the party. But without this list, you're going to find that the person misses a lot of things because they're just not aware of what they need to be looking out for. And just to help her get organized, she needs a to-do list. Could look like this. This will be some ideas. The to-do list that your consultants need might look slightly differently, but this is a start, so you modify it. This will just help her be able to go home and get the things done that she needs to before her party training session. The last thing in the folder is a new consultant questionnaire. You could just let her know about this or show it to her and ask her to fill it out and bring it to the next training session. It's an important sheet. It will help you know more about her. You'll get the names and ages of her children. Just notice that her birthday is not on there. I think that would be a good thing to add as well. It gets her thinking a little bit about why she's joining the business, what sort of commitment she's willing to put into it, and just sets her mind right about this. There'll be 100 things going on in her mind unless we channel it a little bit. So one of the purposes of the Let's Begin folder is actually to help channel this so that it's not just all over the place for her in her head. And she's going to bring this to the next training session with you, and you'll then have this on file. She should also have a copy of it so she knows what she wrote and can keep that in her mind as well. Once she starts a business, of course, her goals are going to change. They're going to hopefully expand, and she's going to become a lot clearer on what she really wants from the business. But at this stage, this is a really good start. And I mentioned earlier you could give her the product catalogue or product manual. If this is something that comes in the kit, just get one yourself, give it to her, and then replace it out of her kit when it arrives. When I first joined my company, I was up half the night reading the catalogue. I was so excited. Now, this is something that's not in the folder, but it's a very appropriate time to mention Dream Stealers again if you haven't already in the interview. Now, if your consultant couldn't stay to do this Let's Begin session, you need to have mentioned this before they leave. She needs word tracks to be able to give someone when one of their friends says to them, "You're crazy, why are you doing this?" She needs to understand why it's happening as well. So if she's prepared, it's going to result in less fallout of your consultants. So you need to tell her that people are only saying things like this because they care for her. And when they do make a comment like, "You're mad, why are you doing this? Why don't you go and get a real job?" It could actually feel a little bit like a bucket of cold water being poured over her head in her enthusiasm. It really needs to not catch her off guard, because if it does, it's going to result in a phone call or a text the next day to you saying, "I've changed my mind." So she needs to know what to say. And here's something that's an example of what she could say. "You know what, you may well be right, but I'm going to give it a go and just see what happens. Anyway, what's the worst that can happen?" So when it happens, she knows she's not going to get upset with the person. She knows that they're concerned for her and that they care about her, and she knows exactly what to say to diffuse the situation and to carry on preparing for her business. I even set my consultants a buckets of cold water challenge. If they could collect a certain number of buckets in 3 days, I'd take them out for a champagne lunch. So let's say you decide to set the challenge to the consultant to collect 6 buckets of cold water. It means that she's going to be speaking to lots of people, and we know that to get a lot of yeses, you need to get some no's. And that's what people are scared of, is hearing the word no, or somebody thinking that they're mad because they're doing this. So I even had one person who got all her parties that she needed. She needed 6 parties, but she didn't get all of her buckets. She only got 4. And said, "Oh, I've only got 4 buckets of cold water, but I have got all 6 parties that I need." And I told her that's fantastic, but she still needed to get 2 more buckets of cold water if she wanted to have the champagne lunch. So off she went to collect some more buckets, and in doing so got a few more bookings as well. I normally had a motivational story or a quote or a poem or something inspiring at the end of the folder as well, just as something nice to finish. It could be nicely printed out, something for them to put on their board. It's obviously not necessary, but I just thought it was a nice way to finish the folder. So with this folder, you'll feel professional, and so will the person joining you. It may feel like a bit of work to get this together, but you do only have to make it up once, and then you get to use it over and over again. All you need to do is print it out and put it in the folder. You could even make a whole lot of folders up in one go and just keep using them. Everything's in the right order. The information builds on itself. It doesn't give too much information, but it does answer the question, how on earth am I going to get bookings?